Hello everyone, I'm Penrose776 and I'm about to manifest an Anima Mythic. Come on, Mythic Hero banner, this is for one. Who is it? Oh, I think I know. It's Arval, Cycle Keeper. Oh, hell yes. Anima Mythic, yes. Finally, it's been so long and they are a colorless tome infantry and they are exactly what I wanted. I don't even know what this says yet, but who cares about that? Colorless tome, infantry, Anima Mythic, extra slot, res boosting. Do you know how like exactly that is what my team needs right now? Res boost, first things first. With 1 res mythic plus 5 res and my very silly build, Cantria can kinda sorta just about get out of range of some elements. If you can pump that up to just 2 res mythics plus 10 res, suddenly that matchup looks a whole lot better. Here's the problem: until right now, there was no extra slot res mythic for Anima season, so if you want to do that, you had to run Mirabilis and a third extra slot mythic if you wanted the extra slot, which, I mean, Saros, Oda, here's the thing, neither of them are all that great. I mean, they're okay, but we can do better, and immediately I'm telling you this is almost certainly better. And the second thing, tome, infantry, well, any sort of ranged infantry really slots in perfectly to the team I have. Literally, it's designed around overlapping ranged units anyway. It's throwing one more ranged unit in there, sure. The easiest thing in the world. So, yeah, and then it's Arval as well, which, I better mention, I freaking love Arval. They have an immense amount of non-binary swag. I feel silly saying that, but it's true. But really what I love them for is their sass. They have so much fucking sass. I really appreciate that. Dude, it's Arval. You can't get enough of Arval. Anyway, they've already won, but let's take a look at what they actually do. Beginning with their weapon, the Rite of Souls. Accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. At start of turn, inflicts guard on foes within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit with res less than unit's res. Okay, so big cross shape, and if they stand in that, they're getting guard. Cool. Guard's actually one of, again, the strongest status effects you can apply on an opponent. Big cross shape. I'm guessing this is going to be a high res unit, and like previously I was using sabotage skills for guard, so being able to do things this way, cool as hell. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants tank speed def res +5 to unit during combat, deals damage equal to 20% of unit's res, including when dealing damage with a special triggered before combat, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So, okay, the rest of it is pretty simple. That's a very ordinary condition. +5 to all stats it's 2022. This is what units look like. 20% of res is true damage. I'm guessing this is a very high res unit then, an exceptionally high res unit, and follow-up prevention. Cool. In the special, Glacies boosts damage by 80% of units res. With Slaying, that's a free cooldown Glacies. And I see a tempo down there, so that is, on a quad from, say, Cantria, actually chargeable. You know, hit 1 cooldown, hit 2, 1 cooldown, hit 3, 1 cooldown, and then that gives you your Glacies on hit 4 for massive damage. A slot, a PRF A slot here, by the looks of it, a duality. Grants attack res +9. Actually, grants attack res +9. It doesn't say in combat. I think this is literally just a like Fortress Defense res style buff, a Still Water style buff, where it is just giving you those stats, like slapping them on your actual visible stats. If that's true, then that is cool as hell. Because that means that we're not, again, that start of turn guard effect, it's anima season, right? You know who's on the other team, it is Elamine. Any good start of turn effect has a significant risk of just getting Elamine. If you increase your visible res by this much, maybe that's not a worry anymore. Anyway, there's more skill, grants weapon triangle advantage against and inflicts weapon triangle disadvantage on red, blue, and green foes during combat. So basically, what we're saying here is Arval beats the entire color triangle. Okay, neutralizes effects that boosts values along with weapon triangle advantage, or reduce values along with weapon triangle disadvantage, open parentheses, triangle adept, close parentheses, on unit or foe, and foe. Okay, so you don't get to use this extra triangle advantage over everything with triangle adept. They've decided that would be a bit too much. Makes sense. And I'm glad that they put triangle adept in brackets there, because if they didn't, I would have no idea what the hell they were talking about. That wording definitely isn't very clear, is it? At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. So we have the whole guard thing, we've got stats, we've got true res-based damage, we've got follow-up prevention, we've got follow-up guarantetion. There's probably a real word for that that isn't made up, but that's what I'm calling it. We've got nice big visible stat buff, and we've got triangle advantage against freaking everything except colorless units. Yeah, this is a strong unit, alright. In the B slot, we've got tempo, attack res tempo 3, so that on my Gatria team, we're actually getting that Glacies, hopefully. And in the C slot, attack res oath 4. So that's if units within 2 spaces of an ally, attack res plus 6, and an orders effect for the turn, and plus an extra attack res plus 3 during combat for being within 2 spaces of an ally. The oath 4s are one of the strongest C slots in the game. Visible buff is cool, the orders buff is just really good, and to top it all off, it gives you some extra stats too. Like, cool, more stats for me? All in all, Arval looking just like an absolute boss of a unit. Not busted necessarily. I mean, Arval does have triangle advantage against everyone, and you may think, wow, that's incredible. But honestly, a lot of the top-end units out there really don't care so much about her weapon triangle at the moment. Like, the weapon triangle's a freaking lie, currently. And the other thing Arval also very notably does not have is any way of interacting with damage reduction. Arval has no damage reduction themselves. They also have no way of stripping off an opponent's damage reduction. And considering that every, melee infantry unit has access to just a casual 75% damage reduction with inheritable skills, every armor is probably being run with damage reduction supports and has Hardy on top of that. Really, like, Arval is definitely going to get some kills against units with lower amounts of damage reduction, but with no way to pierce through that, you're going to have to rely on other units still to deal the finishing blow against those really hard targets. Which I think is fair, honestly. But still, for everyone who's not relying on all that damage reduction to keep them alive, Arval is going to absolutely shred, and this high res means they might also potentially be posing a threat to some of your dragon saves who normally might consider running Dragon Wall as their survivability option. Yeah, really cool unit. I'm definitely grabbing Arval just because this is exactly what Anima Season needed. Oh, I guess a funny little interaction as well with Tempo and Guard. That means that Hardy units won't be able to recharge their Hardy against Arval. That's neat. Let's check out these cool animations. Yeah, big dark kabloomy. And yeah, that looked like a pretty sizable res stat there. Also in the event, Leaf, Crom, Mirabilis, Plumeria, Ota, okay, Atri, Elamine, oh boy, Letizia, Sane, Est, Aska. There it is. That's the banner, and we'll wait until they get to the little spark circle to do our color by color analysis. But, well, I definitely see at least one really good color here, and that is colorless. Let's look at the units on here. Arval, I've just said, incredible. Elamine is basically the boss of Astra Season offense right now. Elamine is like the defining unit for that, so picking an Elamine up is really important for just shutting enemy teams down, for beefing up your saves with damage reduction, for all sorts of things, really. And Aska's for big beefy cowman. You've all got to love him, okay? Yeah, honestly. And Aska as well, so offense mythic, more merch is always good. Between the three of these, colorless is a super high value orb color to pull. The other orb colors, maybe not so much. They've all got their own kind of drawbacks, I'd say. And like, they do have some good units on them, but I've always been of the opinion that if a color has a unit you don't want to pull on that color, and it's one of these legendary or mythic banners, then you should be really careful about pulling on it, because they will show up. They will show up. They will be the unit that you get. So, going... I'm not really sure what the next best one here is, honestly. Red has your Astra Dancer, Plumeria, your Anima Dancer, Mirabilis. Mirabilis also a really high value defense unit. And the Astra Dancer always good because it's a mythic dancer on offense, so merge them up. And your teams are always going to be able to use a dancer, right? Dancers are just universally useful. They're never not usable for something, right? But then also in third slot is Leaf, who he's just kind of there, honestly. He might be in the running for a remix at some point, maybe, hopefully. But that doesn't necessarily mean that remix is going to make him any good. I mean, you saw what happened to Sophis. Poor thing. So, but two out of 3 being at least decent units to pick up is pretty good still, I think. Green, Atri is a very strong legendary. Letizia is just a pretty decent offensive cav all around. Oda struggles a little, but again, he's not completely awful. So these are 3 sort of just like decent units. None of them are like always exactly what you want. There are no units here that I would be just relentlessly happy about getting no matter the situation, but they're all okay, and they're all units that if you want them, maybe consider going ahead and grabbing them. And the last color, blue, has most of our non-mythic, non-legendary units here. We've got Est, who I don't remember if Est had anything special going on. I know she had one of those flow things, maybe? Perhaps? But the fact that I can't really remember Est's kit that well probably doesn't bode well for pulling her unless you specifically want her or something she has. Sane is a really interesting unit in terms of what his kit does, because he has his Jolly Jade Lance, so he can... I'm surprised I remember that, by the way, the Jolly Jade Lance, but that is what it's called. So he can rally and then... Oh, I'm going to sneeze. And then after he rallies, he can go on and act again, like he doesn't even need his own dancer. That's cool. You might be able to use that, you might not. So that's basically a personal preference thing. And then Legendary Chrom is cool and all, but for the time being, he is completely outclassed by Duochrome. So, I mean, you might still want him, but if you're using him just for his power, well, I mean, also, there is the chance that he gets remixed in his future as well, although, again, we're not entirely sure how far off that is. So, me personally, I am sniping colorless, I think. I'm going all in on just colorless, and when I say all in, I mean all in, because come on, dude, it's freaking Arval. I'm getting as many copies of him as I can, and especially since the other two colorless characters here are not characters I would be sad about pulling. Very important. As for you guys, let me know who you're pulling on this banner, if anyone, because I think it's very good, but you guys might have different priorities from me. So, you know, let me know. And, well, I assume that's the end of everything. Thanks for your interactions as normal, and I will see you all next time. Penrost out.